The living room smelled of cold ashes and dust. Curtains hung crooked over the window, a draft slipping through and whispering against the worn carpet. In the corner, a little girl curled her knees to her chest, eyes wide and cheeks damp. She was only 8, but her trembling voice carried the desperation of someone far older. "Don't hurt us," she whispered, then repeated louder when she saw the shadow shift across the wall. "Please, don't hurt us." Her words broke into a sob. The figure looming above her was a man she hardly knew but feared instinctively. He wasn't family, not really, just her mother's boyfriend, whose temper came quicker than the slam of a door. His breath smelled of liquor, his shirt was half unbuttoned, and his fists clenched as if each knuckle was ready to make a point. Her mother stood near the kitchen, frozen in place. There was a bruise blooming along her jawline, half hidden beneath her hair. She wanted to protect her daughter, but her silence had become a cage. Every time she tried to shield the girl, the punishment was doubled when the door closed behind them. "Quiet, both of you," the man muttered, his voice jagged like broken glass. "You'll wake the neighbors." But the girl couldn't quiet the fear. She was too young to know how to swallow it. "Please," she begged again, hiccuping through tears. "Don't hurt us. Daddy will come. He'll be here. He'll." Her mother's sharp inhale cut her off, but it was too late. The man's lips curled at the word daddy. "Daddy," he repeated, almost laughing. "That rich fool doesn't care about you. He left. He's not walking through that door. Not tonight, not ever." The little girl bit her lip until it bled, rocking herself, whispering under her breath like a prayer. "He'll come, he'll come, he'll come." And then, as if summoned by faith or fate, the sound of tires screeched outside. A car door slammed, footsteps pounded against the porch. The front door swung open so hard it rattled against the wall. "What the hell is going on here?" The voice filled the room like thunder. Deep, commanding, filled with an authority that turned fear into stillness. The girl's head snapped up. Through blurred tears, she saw him, tall, broad-shouldered, in a suit that probably cost more than the entire apartment's rent. His tie hung loose around his neck, his dark hair was disheveled as if he had rushed, but his eyes were ablaze. "Daddy," she cried, stumbling to her feet and racing toward him. He caught her in his arms, lifting her as though she weighed nothing. His embrace was fierce, protective, a shield against the ugliness behind her. He pressed his cheek against her hair, whispering, "I've got you. You're safe now." But his gaze never left the man by the kitchen. The mother's boyfriend straightened, though unease flickered in his eyes. "She's exaggerating," he muttered, spreading his hands. "Kids cry. You know how it is." "Shut your mouth," the father roared, his voice cracking like a whip. He set his daughter down gently behind him, then stepped forward, every inch the millionaire magnate he was known to be in boardrooms and headlines. Money had bought him empires, but in this moment, it was his raw fury that made him powerful. "You dare lay a hand on my child?" On her mother. His fists clenched at his sides. "I should bury you where you stand." The man faltered, eyes darting toward the door, calculating an escape. But the father was quicker. In 2 strides he had him pinned against the wall, his forearm pressing into the man's chest. "You think because I was gone, you could replace me?" His teeth ground together, the veins in his temple straining. "You think you can terrify an 8-year-old girl into silence? You don't know what silence is. I'll show you." Silence. The boyfriend choked, squirming. I didn't. You didn't." The father growled, his voice low and deadly now. She was sobbing, begging. "And you stood here like a coward with your fists ready. That's what you didn't do." The little girl clung to her mother's leg, her sobs quieting as she watched the scene unfold. For the first time in months, she saw the man who haunted their home trembling instead of towering. She saw her father's strength not as distant wealth but as fire blazing directly in their defense. The mother, pale and shaken, finally found her voice. "Stop, please. Just get him out. Don't do this in front of her." The father's chest heaved. For a long moment, it seemed he might ignore her plea, his fury too deep to rein in. But then he shoved the man away, letting him stumble toward the door. "Get out," he barked. "And if you ever come near them again, I will not call the police. I will not make threats. I'll end it myself. Do you understand?" The man scrambled, muttering excuses, and fled into the night, the door slamming behind him. Silence fell, heavy and trembling. The little girl darted to her father again, clutching his suit jacket as if it were a lifeline. "I knew you'd come," she whispered into the fabric. "I prayed, and you came." He dropped to his knees, holding her face in his hands, his own eyes wet now. I should have been here sooner. I should have never let you face this alone. I'm sorry, baby, I'm so sorry. Her mother stood behind them, tears streaming down her face. For all the wealth he carried, the father knew that apology weighed more than diamonds. But apologies weren't enough, not anymore. He gathered them both, arm around the woman who had once been his love, lifting his daughter with the other. Pack whatever you need, he said firmly. You're not staying here another night. You're coming home. The little girl buried her face against his neck, breathing in the scent of cologne and safety. For the first time in months, she felt the nightmare lifting, as though the walls themselves were retreating. Her mother hesitated, fear and shame mingling in her expression. He won't just disappear. He'll come back. He'll try. Let him try, the father interrupted, steel in his tone. I've built corporations. I've destroyed rivals twice his size. And I've waited too long to protect what matters most. Let him try. Outside, the night stretched dark and wide. But inside, the little girl finally stopped crying. She clung tighter as her father carried her toward the door, away from the ashes of fear, toward a future she had prayed for in whispers. And though she was only 8, she knew this truth with certainty. Sometimes prayers weren't answered by angels but by fathers who came home roaring. The apartment was too quiet for comfort, the kind of quiet that made every floorboard creak sound like a threat. The television flickered in the corner, but no one was watching. In the dim light, an 8-year-old girl crouched in the far corner of the living room, her small frame trembling. Her knees were pulled tight to her chest, her arms wrapped around herself like a shield. Her eyes, wide and tearful, followed the man pacing across the room. He wasn't her father. He never would be, though he liked to act as if he owned everything within these walls, including her and her mother. His steps were heavy, his shirt unbuttoned at the top, and the sour smell of alcohol clung to him. His jaw clenched and unclenched with each swallow of whatever anger brewed inside him. Don't hurt us, the girl whimpered. Her voice was tiny, broken. She repeated it like a mantra, louder this time, please. Don't hurt us. Her mother, standing near the kitchen counter, flinched at the sound. She wanted to hush her daughter, to protect her, but she had learned that any sound at the wrong moment was like striking a match in a dry forest. The bruise on her jaw still throbbed from the last time she had spoken too loudly. The man stopped pacing, his eyes narrowing at the girl. Quiet down, he hissed, his words thick with drink. You'll wake the neighbors. You think they care about your little sob stories. No one cares. The little girl's chest heaved. Daddy cares, she whispered through her tears. Daddy's coming back. He will. The man barked a laugh, humorless and sharp. That so-called father of yours. The millionaire who thinks money solves everything. He left you. He doesn't give a damn. He's not coming through that door. The words cut deeper than the bruise on her mother's skin. The girl rocked back and forth, clutching her knees, whispering like a prayer, he'll come. He'll come. He'll come. The man's hand twitched, as if he might lash out, but footsteps echoed outside. Tires screeched against the curb, and a car door slammed. The man froze. The little girl's head snapped up. Hope sparked in her eyes, fragile but fierce. Daddy, she breathed, and then the front door flew open, slamming against the wall. Part 2. What the hell is going on here? The voice boomed across the room, shaking the silence. A tall man stood framed in the doorway, his suit rumpled from travel, his tie loosened, but his presence undeniable. He wasn't just any man, he was the girl's father, a figure of power whose name filled headlines and whose wealth built empires. But here, in this room, he was something far more important, her protector. Daddy. The girl bolted across the floor, tears spilling anew. She threw herself into his arms, and he caught her effortlessly, holding her close against his chest. His jaw tightened as he looked over her head, locking eyes on the man still lingering near the kitchen. The boyfriend stiffened, trying to mask his unease. She's exaggerating, he muttered. Kids cry. You know how it is. Shut your mouth. The father's voice cracked like thunder, each word a command. He set his daughter gently behind him and stepped forward, his expression carved in fury. You dare threaten my child, my family. He closed the distance in 2 strides, his hand slamming the man against the wall. Do you have any idea who you're dealing with? The man squirmed, panic flashing across his face. I didn't touch her. You didn't. The father's voice dropped to a dangerous growl. She was begging you not to hurt her. I heard her sobs from the street. And you stood here like a coward, fists ready. His grip tightened. Try lying to me again. The mother gasped, stepping forward. Please, don't, not in front of her. Her words cut through his rage. His daughter was watching, wide-eyed, clinging to her mother's leg now, her tiny hands trembling. Slowly, with effort, he released the man and shoved him toward the door. Get out, he barked. If you ever come near them again, I won't call the police. I won't give you warnings. I'll end this myself. Do you understand? The man stumbled, then fled, the door slamming shut behind him. Silence fell, heavy and raw. The father turned, kneeling to meet his daughter's eyes. I should have been here sooner, he said, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry, baby. I'll never let this happen again. Her small arms wrapped around his neck, holding him with all the strength she had. I knew you'd come, she whispered. I prayed, and you came. Her mother's tears slid silently down her cheeks as she watched them. For the first time in months, she felt a weight lifting, fragile, but real. The father rose, his arms encircling them both. Pack your things, he said firmly. You're not staying here another night. You're coming home. The girl pressed her face into his shoulder, her sobs quieting into hiccups. For the first time in so long, she believed they were safe. And as her father carried her toward the door, she knew her prayers had been answered, not by angels, but by a man who came home roaring, ready to fight for what mattered most.